Welcome to Richfield High School on a cold, snowy evening, but a heated classic suburban battle is about to take place as the Richfield Spartans host the Simley Spartans in a battle for first place. Richfield coming in at 15-3, 7-1 in the conference. Simley at 16-4, also 7-1 in conference play. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Peden here with Alex Nagel. Once again, thank you for joining us. And one of these schools is going to end their winning streak and one will extend it tonight. Simley has won their last 12 games. Richfield has won their last 10. How do you think it's going to play out?
Well, you're right, Mike. You know, this is one of those situations where the old saying, something's got to give, comes into play. When you look at this a little bit closely, you would have to, I suppose, give a slight edge to Richfield being on their home court. But I wouldn't underestimate the Simley team, Mike. You know, this is a team that has been through a lot of battles here lately. You know, they've had 4 losses, 2 of them in the last 5 seconds. So they're battle tested. They know what it takes to stay close in these tough kind of games. So, you know, well, this is a young team too when you talk about Simley. But I think they've come a long way since the beginning of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop as the game progresses.
And in all of Simley's losses, none have been more than 6 points, and that also included an overtime loss to Tartan. But their winning streak began when they beat this Richfield team at their facility back in December. Richfield was playing their final game of a 3-game stretch. What do you think is going to be different from that first matchup? How do you think Richfield adjusts after losing 51-49?
Well, you know, I think, you know, when you lose a tough one, you know, and you, especially in a situation where both teams are fairly familiar with one another, it's easy to tweak the game plan. It's easier. You can go back and look at the game film and see where things need to be tweaked. And I think Richfield is obviously going to be looking at, you know, getting the ball to Jessica January as much as possible to let her do what she does best, score and drive and penetrate. And I think that's going to be one of the big factors tonight for Richfield.
Richfield has been getting more support, though, in the last few games, and of course Simley has a talented group, so let's delve into this a little further with our keys to the game. For the home Richfield Spartans, they want to play better transition defense in the first meeting against Simley. They want to improve their communication as well, and they've stepped up on that. And obviously, they've won the last 10 games, so something had to step up. And they want to continue their cleanup work on offense, just being more efficient, getting more points out of it, and really spreading the ball around, because January is still scoring a lot, but she's getting a little more help.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. You know, they say that it's actually not a good thing when January starts scoring 30-plus points. They feel like they have to have better scoring distribution, and that may be a key. Sierra Ford Washington, I think, definitely fits into that picture, you know, from a scoring standpoint anyway.
And speaking of keys, here are Simley's. They'll want to handle Richfield's pressure. Richfield likes to run the ball. They're a very quick, athletic group. They'll want to take advantage of the size inside. They have a much bigger interior offense than Richfield does. Richfield's tallest player, Leah Barnes, and Simley led by a couple of 6-foot plus folks in Abby Kine and Kylie Brown, and they want to draw them off the traps.
Well, I think Abby Kine is going to be a big, you know, focus point for Simley here tonight. You know, she's got to use the height advantage that she has inside and score often and early. Right?
Starting lineups are coming up in a moment. You're watching high school girls basketball on TSB Television. Stick around. How about that? A live rendition of the anthem. Usually they have to play some stock music.
Well, I tell you what, that's a great way to get this great evening underway here, Mike. It may be cold and snowy outside, but it's hot in here.
And let's get underway with the starting lineups. First for the visiting Simley Spartans, it's number 1, Abby Kine, 6'1", freshman forward. Number 3, Alexis Boyd-Lockett, 5'7", senior guard. Number 15, Maya DeLao, 5'7", junior guard. Number 23, Asia Lockett, 5'8", guard, 8th grader. And number 33, Kylie Brown, 6'3", junior wing, listed as a guard but plays more on the 4. Richfield will start. Number 14, Jessica January, 5'7", senior guard. We've mentioned her name a few times. Kaylee Adams, number 22, 5'10", sophomore forward. Number 30, Sierra Ford Washington, 5'6", senior guard. Number 40, Kyla Adams, 5'10", freshman forward. And number 50, Dominique Hammonds, the 5'4", junior guard. Haley Lindblom will not start tonight because she just came back from a trip from Washington, D.C., and we'll talk more about that as the game goes on. But let's take a quick look at the Classic Suburban standings. Suburban East, well, where am I kidding? As we mentioned, both teams at 7-1, and it's feasible that whoever wins this game could take that conference title. I know the state championship is what all the teams go for, but in terms of some bragging rights, this game could decide where that goes.
Yeah, that's what makes this so fun about this night. You know, not only with conference implications, but with seeding implications as well, Mike. You know, that's what makes covering something like this so incredibly fun and exciting.
And rankings, another storyline. Simley looking to move up from their 10th spot. Richfield at number 3. Simley started in the top 10, dropped out when they went to 4-4, but they've won their last 12 games. And then Richfield, they went through a bit of struggles too, got blown up by Kennedy the last time we were here, and have won the last 10.
You know, any time when you're playing Richfield, especially on their home court, Mike, it's so critically important to take care of the basketball. You've got to limit your turnovers. You have to be aware where Jessica January is at all time because she's such a great defender. In addition to being a great scorer, you have to know where she is.
The two schools are in different sections, so this could be a state tournament preview as well. Simley in Section 4, and right now the favorite to be taking that section, Hill Murray having a bit of a down year, Highland Park falling apart. Richfield in Section 6, they've got to get through Chaska most likely, and Benilde St. Margaret's is tough as well. Simley with the first possession. They're wearing the white jerseys. Richfield wearing their familiar maroon home uniforms.
Just what I'm talking about right there, Mike.
Jessica January with the steal. Goodbye. She averages 20 points a game. That, oddly enough, that not even close to the lead in the Classic Suburban Conference. That belongs to Tia Alberts. But the big difference, Albert Tartan's lone bastion of offense, Richfield having several, and they've really developed in the last few games.
Right away, we see Richfield putting on some backcourt pressure here, Mike.
That's Maya DeLao finding Asia Lockett, the 8th grader. Simley, no stranger to starting young players on varsity. Kine started on this team a year ago as an 8th grader. Deflected off January, Simley takes possession. As we mentioned, Richfield lost to Simley in the first meeting of the year. Richfield was playing their 3rd game in 3 days straight. Richfield on the front end of a back-to-back series. They go over to their crosstown rival Holy Angels tomorrow in a boys-girls doubleheader. Here's Asia Lockett going over to DeLao, finding Kine. Traveling violation. Richfield's going to need to do that frequently to get an advantage inside because Kine is taller than everybody else on the floor.
Yep. Simley needs to get themselves settled down here on offense, play some solid D.
I shouldn't say taller than everybody else. Leah Barnes is on the Richfield roster, but not in the starting lineup as they work to get her back in shape. Here's Kaylee Adams. No travel call. Rebound DeLao. Finding Lockett. Lines up the 3. Off the heel. Rebound. Dead ball rebound to Richfield. And how about this? I haven't seen a crowd this big at some time at a Richfield game, but everybody kind of understanding the implications behind this game. Here's Sierra Ford Washington. Looking for Adams, but Adams went a little too far, and here's a steal. It's Alexis Boyd Lockett, and she gets the fast break layup for the Simley Spartans.
Nice move there by Alexis Boyd Lockett.
Jessica January, baseline drive, rejected by Kylie Brown. Brown at 6'3", January 5'7", so Brown gonna have a few inches. And I spoke with Tim Pepper, the Simley head coach, and he said, especially when they try to trap Brown, compared to other guards, she can see over everybody. And here is Haley Lindblom coming in from Richfield.
You know, in that last situation there where we saw Jessica January getting blocked inside, she's really going to have to pick her spots, Mike, when she decides to drive into the paint.
January is a smart player, though, so I don't think Scott Statham or anybody else is too concerned about her performance. DeLau with a mid-range switch.
Nice recognition there by Kylie Brown, finding the open person on the wing.
Now we have a reach-in foul called against Simley. 4-2 in the opening minutes of the first half.
15 by DeLau for the first.
Ford Washington to inbound. Finds January. Now she tries the mid-range, that's off the mark. Adams with the rebound, and a clean block from Kine.
Not unusual to see Jessica January to get off to a slightly slow start from a scoring standpoint, Mike.
Kine averaging 2.5 blocks per game, so she is no stranger to rejections. But really developing as a post inside for Simley. Asia Lockett handling the ball, going up against Lindblom. Again, Lindblom missed Richfield's earlier game this week. It was a blowout win over St. Paul Johnson, so she wasn't necessarily needed, but again, took a trip to Washington, D.C., part of a school program actually called Close Up. One of the sponsors was General Mills, and her grandmother happened to work there, so that set the stage. January will be called for the reach-in foul. Lindblom with the steal. And she brings a defensive tenacity that few other players on Richfield's roster can match. Adams missing her target on the bounce pass, and DeLau with the steal. Finds Lockett for three. Off the heel again. Kylie Brown using her 6'3" frame to scoop the rebound. Jump ball, possession arrow favors Richfield.
Tell you, this is interesting to watch, Mike. Definitely what you would call a contrast of styles here that we're seeing already.
Kylie Brown averaging a double-double for the Spartans, as is Abby Kine. In fact, Kine or Brown, I should say, 12.4 points, 12.8 rebounds a game. Not too often you get a player with more rebounds than points. Ford Washington losing the handle, and a Richfield turnover.
A great defense that time by Alexis Boyd Lockett getting in there, causing problems.
And again, if you haven't heard of Simley too often, they haven't made much noise until the last couple of years. They had a 22-win season a year ago. Here's Kaylee Adams with the steal. Breakaway, yes! And Kaylee Adams has really stepped up in the last few games for Richfield. She's close to 10 points a game. But as we mentioned, Simley lost to Highland Park. That team was formidable a year ago. This year they've fallen apart. Simley throws it away.
Well, some obvious miscommunication there.
And Simley will call timeout with 13:45 remaining in the first half. So 30-second timeout. Alex, your observation so far?
Well, it's each team right now, Mike, is trying to establish their style and see what will work. Right now, score tied at 4-all. You know, it's really hard to give an edge to either side right now. But the one thing I think you have to be concerned about, from a Simley standpoint anyway, is that if Richfield gets tends to get most of their points and transitions off of steals, it means that Simley's not taking good enough care of the basketball, and that was the one key that I felt was critical from Simley from the get-go.
We resume play, 13 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first half. Lindblom is intercepted by Alexis Boyd Lockett. Goodbye.
Talk about turning the tables there.
You'd expect a lot of feeling each other out here between two top 10 teams. Foul before the shot. Richfield dominated this series in previous years, although Simley has won the last 2 games. And that's what helped Simley get themselves noticed. Last year was taking down a stronger Hill Murray team. They still had Tessasici at the time, and of course Richfield, who finished second in the Class 3A state tournament. But I'll say this, Simley's section 4 3A, is no longer an automatic berth effectively for Hill Murray. We could see Simley making some noise. We've got a foul, over the back foul called, and I believe it will be taken to Kyla Adams. No, it's on Kaylee Adams, but Simley gets the ball regardless. New player in for Simley, it's number 21, and that player is Jen Willard. And neither team can decide who wants the ball right now. Oh my goodness, what a pass from January to Lindblom. The long skip, Simley didn't see it coming, Lindblom scores.
Great move by Lindblom there.
Lindblom doesn't score a lot for Richfield, but brings a quickness that really helps him out. Kine missing the runner. Rebound, Kyla Adams. Ford Washington brings it up. Lindblom back to Ford Washington. Here's January. And as we mentioned in the open, January at the start of the season said, I do not want to score 35 points a game. I want to get everyone else involved. I do not want to carry the load. Here's January with a mid-range swish. Oddly enough, with Tony Gears speculated that part of it was DePaul's request, but even at this level, I think you're better off getting everyone else involved, because if you have a rough night, other players can step up. January wasn't even the leading scorer in win over Johnson earlier this week.
Yep.
For 3, bullseye. Right now, January outscoring the Simley team. It's still early, but she has 7 points.
Richfield when January starts opening up from the perimeter, starts getting hot, that opens up the opportunities for the other scorers, Mike.
Well, she is no stranger. She knows how to score. Lockett cannot get the response, but an offensive rebound by Brown. Here's Willard. Can't line up the counter either. Adams with the rebound. January crossed the 2,000-point milestone last year in the state tournament final. Adams for 3. That goes in. No, they call it a 2, but Kyla Adams showing a little perimeter range. Alexis Boyd Lockett nearly lost it. She does lose it. Adams picks it up. One-on-one. Can't beat Lockett. Ford Washington draws the foul.
I would almost expect Simley head coach Tim Pepper to call a timeout here, Mike, and get his squad calm down, settle down, make some adjustments here. See if he does so after the free throws.
If this Richfield run continues, he might. The Richfield Spartans have scored the last 9 points. Ford Washington just averaging under 10 points a game, but has become a reliable second option in Richfield's offense, especially in the 10-game winning streak. And for those of you thinking Richfield had it easy, a couple of those wins included Wayzata and Edina, 2 Lake Conference perennials.
Yep.
Ford Washington makes both free throws to get on the board. Richfield has now scored the last 11 points. DeLau to Kine. Trying to find Lockett. January disrupts the pass and forces another turnover.
And that turnover bugaboo right now is really starting to bite Simley hard, Mike.
This is a much different Richfield team than the one that met Simley back in December. And an illegal screen of sorts. It's called against Kaylee Adams. That's going to be her second. That may force Scott Stadium to go to the bench. And he will. He's going to send her twin sister, Kyla, to replace Kaylee. 10:26 remaining in the first half. And Richfield up 15-6. Here's Kine. She draws the push foul. Draws the push foul against Kyla Adams, and you notice how close the Richfield defenders are in playing Kine.
Well, down 9 here, it's going to be important for Simley, I think, to get the ball inside the key and to see what she can do. Use that height advantage that they have right now.
Katie Atkins in the game for the Simley Spartans. Lockett for 3. Still can't find it. But the high recoil, offensive rebound goes right back to her. Kyle Adams with the steal. Finds January down court. January with the fast break layup.
Boy, they make it look easy, don't they?
The run is now 13-0. January with 9 points. A reach-in foul on Leah Barnes, making her first visit on the bench for the Richfield Spartans. And let's take a look at some of the notes that we got. With this Richfield start, it's been very impressive. Getting through that rough stretch, they said, helped. Another foul on Richfield, and I believe that's their last to give. Scott Stadium mentioned, though, it is their last, so Richfield out of fouls to give now. After the Kennedy loss, they said they got away from playing their brand of basketball. They got so flustered. Kine can't get the kiss off the glass. Brown with the offensive rebound, dishes to Kine, and Kine cleans it up for her first field goal.
Right there, that's what Simley wants to do, Mike. Breaks the run.
No basket, offensive rebound to Ford Washington. DeLau picks it up just before it goes out of bounds and finds Atkins. She faces a trap. Can't escape. Kyle Adams losing the handle, and she'll feed to January to settle things down. (17-8) in favor of Richfield. Lindblom over to Ford Washington. And Scott Stadium will call timeout with 8:44 remaining, and not a bad time for one. So as Richfield takes a timeout, let's take a look at this capsule for Simley a little bit.
I was looking a little bit at Maya DeLeo of Simley. She wants to stay, for college plans anyway, she wants to stay fairly close to home and go to something small. I would interpret that to be possibly a Mayak
school. Mr. Mayak over here, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of multi-sport athletes from Simley. DeLau is one of them, and she said the strangest thing about herself is she's Mexican. I've heard of stranger, but I'm sure everyone's involved, and so DeLau, we mentioned a junior, a lot of youth on this team, and so Simley's going to have a lot of camaraderie coming in. And speaking of youth, Asia Lockett, the 8th grader, already has plans, wants to go to a 4-year university, D1 or D2, so she's not too picky yet. But she also is a huge One Direction and Justin Bieber fan, as I would expect. I would expect someone of her age bracket to be a fan of.
Yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure, she likes her 4 music artists. You know, Justin Bieber's from Canada, and One Direction is an Irish group.
That's all right, nothing wrong with that.
No love for the American boy bands or boy groups. Richfield with possession, 17-8 is our score. Again, Richfield using a 13-0 run to pull out to a 9-point advantage. January in trouble, finds Ford Washington. And again, we see Richfield being patient. They can push the ball, but they will back off too. January drawing the foul. Free throws coming. Foul's on Kine, her second.
What a strong drive by Jessica January there.
Well, she's learned a thing or two over the years. She's played on the varsity roster since 8th grade.
Well, it just right there gives you a great example of her explosiveness, Mike.
And she's also in the top of her class in GPA. In fact, I spoke with Scott Statham yesterday, and he said outside of science fiction trivia, Star Trek and Star Wars, Jessica January would have the edge. She knows a lot of information that surprised her head coach. She makes both free throws. She's up to 11, and we usually don't see this out of January. She's usually more calm in the first half and steps up in the second, but sensing, nice try by Lindblom, but she ran out of bounds. Once again, though, and can anticipate passes.
Well, yeah, and you know, as aggressive as Richfield is, Simley's going to have to be very careful of those passing lanes, Mike. It's almost threading the needle almost with their passes. They have to be very careful, very precise.
Here's Kylie Brown, who has yet to score for Simley, and a traveling violation. Alexis Boyd-Lockett
lifted up that foot just a little bit. That's all it took.
And another Simley turnover, 7:47 remaining in the first half. Richfield trying to hold on to their third place ranking. I'm not sure they can move up unless De La Salle or Fergus Falls drops one. Simley would like to move up. I'm still not convinced on Fergus Falls being number one because of the geography involved. They don't get to play the same caliber of opponents that De La Salle and Richfield do, but folks often get attached to that record. January pulls up again, off the heel. Dead ball rebound to Simley. To finish up that point, I think the bookies, prognosticators, they get so fixated on records. They see Fergus Falls is undefeated. Oh, they must be really good.
Yeah.
Well, who have they played?
I know, it's...
Strength of schedule, to me, is more indicative of how a team is doing than a record per se.
Yep.
As you talked about before the mercy rule, you would get lopsided schedules so teams could rack up a lot of wins quickly. You don't get that as much now in the non-conference slate.
Yeah.
Boyd-Lockett over to Kylie Brown. Asia Lockett now. Inside to number 32, and she loses the ball to Dominique Hammonds. Number 32 for Simley. We'll get a name for her in a moment. Here's Bobby Beaver, works her way around traffic, can't get the bounce. And let me take a look at your roster there. I need to see who number 32 is for Simley. Lockett, number 32 is Lexi Saraswate. Brown, swish, and she finally gets on the board.
Big basket there for Simley, gets the margin back within single digits here, Mike.
19-10. As Richfield, as much as they've dominated in this game, here's Lindblom with a baseline J. An 11-point lead is not that large. It looks that way, but Simley not out of this, at least not yet. Long way to go. Look at January swarming Boyd-Lockett. Boyd-Lockett left alone, can't hit the three. Leah Barnes with the rebound. Barnes dealing with some injuries throughout the year. Bobby Beaver for Richfield in the game. January, top of the key, bullseye. January has already matched her jersey number, 14 points, and she's still outscoring Simley.
On the first day of February, no less.
I'm sure if she had $1 for every time she heard that, she wouldn't even have to worry about school. She wouldn't need a scholarship to DePaul, but I'm sure she's happy to get one. Her sister finishing up her athletic career at South Dakota, and Simley with the response. That's Katie Atkins with a baseline J of her own.
Good ball movement that time.
Lindblom can't hit the three. Rebound, Atkins. And she's poked from behind by Barnes, didn't sense it. Barnes throws it up and draws a foul. Barnes started the year on the starting lineup, got shifted to the reserve. Again, still growing into her body for her age, even though she's a sophomore. She has the body of a freshman.
Good touch at the free throw line by the sophomore. Abby Kane comes back in now for Simley.
Richfield has yet to miss from the free throw line. They've made all 5 attempts.
Jen Willard is in there as well now.
And I jinxed him. Boyd Lockett double teamed, finds a way out of it. Asia Lockett jukes coverage, but still cannot hit the three-pointer.
I'll tell you, Richfield doing an excellent job of boxing out, Mike.
They are focused, no foul called. Richfield will keep possession, 4:29 remaining in the first half. And January and Ford Washington, offensive foul.
You got a moving screen there.
Looks that way. It's going to be tagged to Ford Washington, or no, Beaver, I should say. That's her first. Was going to say January and Ford Washington. Tentatively, they still have to make it official, but both have been selected to the All-Star team in the Coaches Association All-Star game for Class 3A. And that's one of the top honors you can get in the state. Of course, a couple of national All-Stars, Nia Coffey at Hopkins and Rebecca Dahlman. Foul, Boyd Lockett will go to the line. Coffey and Dahlman selected to the McDonald's All-America game, and I think it's the first time in a long time, if not ever, where 2 Minnesotans are representing the field. Boyd Lockett, can't give you her free throw numbers because they don't have the attempts down there, but she does average 8.8 points per game. And she finally makes her first here, 8.8 points and 2.3 rebounds a game, 3.4 assists. Let's see if that gives Simley a calming force here. Boyd Lockett leading with 6 points. January dumps it off and a traveling violation. Kyla Adams stepped before she dribbled. It will stay with Simley. No, January did get the
I thought maybe we were looking at a reach-in foul there, Mike.
Sometimes I wonder if the officials see us and they just try to juke us intentionally.
From our angle was kind of tough to tell.
And we can't see the baseline like we usually can because we have a big crowd in front of us. But I'll take the big crowd. Kine with the steal. Takes it herself, too strong, and had an option on the outlet. I wonder if she should have dumped it off there. January pulls up again. Short this time, Kine with the board.
Abby Kane, great defense on that last one, Mike, but she's got to make sure she converts.
And of Simley's 4 losses, Brown dumping to Kine, too strong. Kine still has a little work there. She can use the dribble drive, but could have used a little more finesse there.
Tough break for the freshman there in those last 2.
Well, she has a lot of time left.
Oh, yeah.
In this game and looking ahead, too. Hammonds. 3-pointers too strong. And the rebound will stay with Richfield. Of Simley's 4 losses, Tim Pepper mentioned it gave them some lessons that could not be simulated in practices. Created situations that they had to learn from on the fly. Ford Washington finding the open player, Leah Barnes with the layup.
Leah Barnes just came back into the game for Richfield, and she made good on that one.
Boyd Lockett drains the runner.
Great move by Alexis Boyd Lockett there. I tell you, she's been hounding out there on the perimeter so far tonight, Mike.
Tim Pepper says Boyd Lockett can score when needed to. Ford Washington, too strong. Rebound Brown. That's not DeLau, that's Boyd Lockett. DeLau not on the floor right now. There's Asia Lockett. Over to 21, Willard. Boyd Lockett doesn't like what she sees. They find Kine inside. And sooner or later, Kine will make you pay for giving her a hole inside, and we've got another timeout.
Nice job here by Simley hanging in there. They're still down 27-18, but back to within 9. They've been hanging in there. They haven't hit that proverbial panic button as some other teams have. And, we've got a good contest here, Mike, coming down to the home stretch of the first half.
Abby Kine, we mentioned a freshman, played on the varsity roster as an 8th grader, and not only that, she played on the volleyball and softball teams in 8th grade. Said likes to play because she gets to play against rival schools, having fun with teammates. Volleyball and softball, as we mentioned. Would like to attend an academic college that excels in athletics. And she still has a lot of growing to do, and like we mentioned, 12.8 points, or I should say 16.1 points per game, 12.4 rebounds a game, and last year she averaged a double-double, so Kine, a bastion of consistency despite her youth.
Yep.
You wouldn't expect that out of too many freshmen.
No.
To average a double-double your first 2 years?
Yeah, that just shows you how much potential she really has.
Shoots over 60% from the floor, has struggled a little bit so far in this game, but she's not a volume shooter. And Pepper said she just continues to blow his mind. Nobody saw this coming. They knew she would play varsity, but Pepper said the fact that she can handle the stronger post players now is a huge asset, and that's why she is such a potent force now for the Simley Spartans. Takes a breather for now. January dumping to Barnes. She works up against her coverage. That's Saraswate. Traveling violation.
Well, there you saw January. She could have driven inside, but like you were saying, right, she wants to get her teammates involved.
Well, she has 14 points, and again, does not want to make this a one-dimensional offense. January averaging about 8 assists per game, and the win over South St. Paul earlier this season had a double-double with 15 points, 14 assists. We've got a foul on Richfield, and they are in the penalty. One-on-one situation for Simley. That will send Saraswate to the line. Lexi Saraswate not too active offensively, just 1.6 points per game, averages 1.4 rebounds. Beaver going back in for the Richfield Spartans. Simley located in Inver Grove Heights, a suburb in Ramsey County, not too far from St. Paul.
Oh, great hustle. Great hustle there by Alexis Boyd Lockett.
That gets her the O-board. Saraswate dumps out and missing the three-pointer. Good look, though, from Willard. And another offensive rebound by Saraswate. She finds Asia Lockett, who floats it over the outstretched arm of Bobby Beaver.
Wow.
That's a flashy way to get your first field goal. January will be called for the charge.
And all of a sudden here, Mike, with that charge being called on Jessica January, the momentum and complexion of this game has changed dramatically.
Psychologically, if Simley can score on their next possession, it would be a huge boost. It's 27-20, but again, Richfield has been the dominant team throughout the first half. Richfield trying a little pressure. That's going to give Simley an opening, but January with the steal. Boyd Lockett lost the handle. January 2-on-1, opts to drive herself and scores.
Uh-oh.
Steal by Barnes off the inbound. Barnes is fouled. Count it! Are you kidding? We talked about psychological swings. Well, Richfield getting a huge one in their direction. The foul is on Asia Lockett. You don't see that often in the
No.
span of 10 seconds.
Well, and I think Alexis Boyd Lockett was anticipating somebody to be there on that short little pass, and there was some obvious miscommunication there, and Richfield took advantage.
Barnes can't complete the three-point play, but still 2 big possessions and another steal. January dumping to Barnes again. A clean block this time by Boyd Lockett, but Richfield completely sniping Simley's passes. January directing traffic. Richfield will run out the clock here. Ford Washington getting a push, leaves her open for 3, can't hit it. And a foul on Richfield with 4.4 seconds, and Simley in the double bonus. So again, Richfield getting a huge boost there, but now Simley has a chance to score a couple more points here, and so Richfield can't put down the exclamation point, and Saraswati will have a chance to make this a single-digit margin before halftime.
I tell you, those last 25 seconds were a little bit disastrous for Simley. They at least avoid total meltdown with a chance here to get some points right before halftime.
How many times did you mention last week how important it was to make free throws? Alex and I covered the Humboldt-Washburn game last week. Saraswati missing both. Beaver with the rebound. Richfield still has time for a shot. Ford Washington on the line. Will it count? Yes!
How about that?
Ford Washington with their first field goal beats the buzzer. And she stepped on the line, could have had a 3, but I don't think Richfield cares right now. They're up 33-20, scoring 6 points in the last 30 seconds. And when it looked like Simley had a chance to work the way back in there psychologically, Richfield acting like the bully pulpit.
Yeah, it's just that aggressiveness on defense, being able to get steals and being able to convert on them for quick points. That's been the difference so far in this contest tonight.
Well, we're going to pause for a few moments while I catch my breath and get my voice back. Richfield leading 33-20 in this classic suburban showdown. You're watching high school girls basketball on TSB television. Welcome back to high school girls basketball on TSB television as we continue coverage of our classic suburban showdown between Richfield and Simley, a epic battle of Spartans. That's their nickname. Richfield leading 33-20, getting a huge boost in the final 30 seconds thanks to a lot of steals and that buzzer beater from Ford Washington.
Well, and again, Mike, it all comes down, from a Simley standpoint anyway, of taking care of the basketball. We know how aggressive Richfield is with their defense, particularly in the backcourt, putting on pressure, and that's how they were able to get a bulk of their points, off of turnovers. Now, you're down 33-20 here going into the beginning of the second half. Not that big of a deficit, but you're going to have to make some adjustments here. And number one, primary, is taking care of the basketball. Once they get into that half-court offense, getting Kane and Brown involved, they can feed the ball into them and let them score, use their height. That's going to be a huge boost here for this Simley team.
Let's take a look at the first half stats. Richfield led by Jessica January with 16 points. Leah Barnes is next with 5. Lindblom and Ford Washington both have 4, but again, January taking the initiative there in the first half. Certainly does not want to do that all the time. Simley was led by Alexis Boyd Lockett with 8 points, and Abby Kine had 4. Everyone else could not get more than 2, but again, Richfield's defense was just so stingy on Simley. It was difficult for Simley to find many looks.
Yeah. Well, as I pointed out in that first half, I'll tell you, Alexis Boyd Lockett was just getting hounded out there on the perimeter.
And how do you think Simley bounces back? Because again, they gave up 3 baskets in the final 30 seconds, losing the ball a couple of times. I can't imagine they're too rattled because they've been through this before. They went through an overtime loss to Tartan and a few other close ones. What do you think Tim Pepper told his group? Well, certainly not that. Lindblom forcing the steal. January finding Kaylee Adams. Count it!
And not how you want to start out this second half if you're Simley.
No first half drop off for Richfield. Scott Stadium really likes how the Adams sisters have been contributing. He believes that they stayed at Kennedy, they would not be playing the minutes they are right now. And one thing both sisters have in common, they can use their bodies to their advantage even if they're undersized in the post. Adams completes a 3-point play. DeLau almost losing the ball, gets control. Brown to Kine. That's a combination they want to hook up, but Kine just not finding it from short range.
Richfield being patient here.
Ford Washington, or that was January, I should say, missed the baseline J. Here's DeLau. Didn't see much action in the first, bounces it over to Brown, and Brown gets the bucket. And a carrying violation on Richfield. Now it's the Richfield's turn to make those backcourt miscues.
That's one thing Richfield has to be careful of, not getting complacent. You know, they've got to watch those silly mistakes.
We talked about this may have seeding implications should these two reach state. Simley figures to be the favorite in their section, Section 6, although Hill Murray can still pull out a surprise or two.
Yeah.
DeLau with the right wing 3.
Well, Alexis Boyd Lockett showing her range. If she can get hot in the second half.
That was Boyd Lockett, you're right. I thought it was DeLau, but
There's a steal.
there's Alexis Boyd Lockett. Well, Simley, they're not going to be too rattled from the end of that first half. Not with that group. Brown to Kine. Kine still not finding it.
Struggling from that short range.
60%, but struggling tonight. 3-pointer for Kaylee Adams. She's up to 8. DeLau bounced over to Kine, but didn't see her defenders coming in January with the strip. Adams again. Can't hit it this time, but her twin sister gets the O-board. January out to Adams. Another offensive rebound. This time Adams with a little pump fake. She can't hit the mid-range J though. And an over-the-back foul on Richfield. Not a great way to end that possession, but
That last pass down there by DeLau, those are the kind of things that Simley has to avoid. You have to pass with a purpose. You can't throw lazy passes or lazy bounce passes. Those are the kind of balls that Richfield is going to jump on and convert off of, Mike.
and Simley, their rise over the last few years
There's
has
another
been
one.
in part. Well, Haley Lindblom with the steal, bouncing over to Ford Washington, got it. So the pair of best friends hooking up on that play for Richfield. And another Richfield steal of sorts, and Pepper's going to call timeout. Richfield up 41-25. You get the feeling of a state tournament atmosphere right here.
No, you sure do. And this is, Simley right now is getting an idea of what it's like to play in a very hostile environment, here at Richfield, and they're not taking good care of the basketball. You've seen right there already 2 or 3 lazy passes that were easily picked off or stolen. And that's the kind of thing that Simley has to avoid here, Mike.
And we were talking about the feature in the breakdown ran on Simley and how they got their rise. Before Pepper took over, Simley was a struggling team. But Pepper just brought a philosophy just to play hard. A former collegiate football player at Augsburg, played basketball for a season at UW Eau Claire. He said, you want to have emotion, but not negative emotion. You just want to play hard. And right now, Simley getting a lesson on playing hard. Richfield, I think, learned their lesson from that December loss. But again, this has become a close matchup in the last couple of years. And what used to be a waltz to victory for Richfield is now one of the most anticipated matchups in the Classic Suburban Conference.
Alexis Boyd Lockett there with a little reach in.
That's her first personal foul. January. That was a nice fake, but no basket. Rebound Kine. Richfield playing full court press. Kine has to bring the ball up, and that's exactly what Richfield wanted.
Yep.
Ford Washington on the steal. January inside to Kaylee Adams, rejected by Brown, cleans it up. And Kyla Adams bumps Kine, that's gonna be her third.